Alright, guys, it's time for another exciting adventure of Dragon Ball Beyond. I'm your host, your narrator, writer, producer, all that good stuff, Whiskiv J, and you're tuning into Fanboys Production. I'm still figuring out how to do this intro. I think I should write something up and keep it consistent for every episode. I'm having a blast recording this stuff now, and at times I have my doubt about uploading things, but I'm gonna stick with my guns, stick with my discipline, and I'm gonna keep it up. Eventually, once the first season is done, depending on what happens later on in the future, I can always go back, re-record, have better equipment, and do better content for you guys. This is just me developing my skills and just trying to put things out there. I got a story to tell, and I'm sure there's some people that want to listen to it. This is the Frutadas episode 2. You'll read the title in the description. Enjoy. It's the last day. Remo drags the carcass of the bear shark into the village as the space crew follows behind. Our young heroine is greeted happily by her people, but the space crew gets many stares, some with confusion, some with anger. Remo walks to her elder with a big grin as she introduces her catch and her new friends to Chief Leader and Grand Elder Papalasher. Shadow tries to take in as much detail as she can. She sees the Frutations are very artistic. They all wear some type of blue, and the adults also have their face painted with strange patterns with the same color. The Frutations town has a mix of tents, a few buildings, some statues, and even a water fountain. They are organized, she deducts. The chief says little Remo's guests can stay for the ceremony, which is 3 days and nights of festivities and combat. Frutations will eat, drink, and fight. And then at the end of it all, if little Remo survives this, she will have to perform their battle dance, so she may earn her extended name, Remola. After all the introductions are done, the space crew is taken to their own room within the training hall of the Frutations town. This building is one of the few tall structures they actually have. This training hall is quite spacey and has many rooms as well as equipment. You can tell this area is used a lot by the Frutations, as they all seem very fit. Though some Frutations might seem a little thick, a little heavy, they all seem very strong. They have like that strong muscle fat, while others are very muscular, very ripped. The space crew is left alone in a room by themselves. Cece, Nono, and Shadow speak telepathically to each other. The space cowboys tell Shadow that these Frutations must be a hunter tribe. This is why their body is the way it is.
Did you see Papa Lasher? If there was ever a father time, it would be him.
Yes, true, Shadow,
says the twinlings.
But he was ripped like a well-aged martial artist.
This species of humans must be very segregated. They all have the same look to them. They all have very dark bluish hair. They all wear the same type of garments. There's no real style or variety in art with them.
But they do have some statues. They do have some sculptures around the town. There's something to these people. Maybe they do this by choice.
I'm surprised we're not even seen as gods to them. Most primitive species like them, when confronted or met first time with aliens, they see them as gods. Yet,
I know, they're somehow, I can't pinpoint it. It's like they're used to us to some degree.
I wonder what mysteries these Frutations have.
After a well-rested night, the space crew wake up to the next day, and they try to exit their room, but they are met with 2 sentries. The sentries were polite enough. They didn't draw their weapons at them or anything, and the space crew didn't feel threatened as they were allowed to keep their own personal weapons.
CC and Ono still have their pistols. One of the sentries seemed reasonable enough and told the space crew they're more than welcome to stretch out their legs in the training hall if they like. However, they cannot leave the building for a little while longer, as Papa Lasher is preparing the community for these alien visitors. And so it was. The space crew decided to work out a bit. Though they didn't need it, they were constantly in the battlefield, being confronted by the Empire's great fearless army. Our gunslingers, CC and Ono, draw out their pistols and set their weapons to training mode. They fire upon the wooden silhouette dummies the Frutations use. The Frutation sentries observe these strange weapons, which shoot light into energy and move their wooden dummies. The twinlings can't tell the facial expressions of the sentries as they wear dark masks, but they can feel their emotions and they know they are at awe. Shadow looks at one of the wooden dummies and passes her fingers around it. She's trying to figure out this kind of wood. She wonders how durable it could be, especially being grown from a tree under this extreme gravity. And so she decides to test out this new wood and gets into a training mount stance. This is a stance in where the practitioner of the combative martial art decides to open up their feet more than shoulder width apart, while simultaneously clenching up one of their fists, bringing it towards their ribcage, and the other hand is pointing towards the direction they're about to strike. Shadow hits the wooden dummy with a solid bare knuckle punch. Kinda damaged her hand a bit. She sees this is very strong wood, extremely strong, so she decides to tap a little bit into her Godothorian abilities and go slightly feral. She can now no longer feel the pain, and she's causing more damage to the wooden dummy, and then she decides to go slightly more feral, which allows her to turn her regular fingernails into cat claws. The sentries are caught slightly off guard and lean back a bit in surprise of what she just did. She used her claws to carve into the wood. She was precise with all of her attacks as she carved the wooden dummy into the figure of a little girl named Remo.
Showing off to the hosts, I see, boss,
says the twinlings, as Shadow smiles and purrs. One of the sentries becomes inspired by Shadow's ability and technique and decides to hand his spear to his partner as he walks to her. Now he's less than 5 feet away from her, and he looks at the Godothorian while she looks at him, and then he clenches up both his fists, puts it on his shoulders in an X-like formation, bowing his head and says, "How about you?" The Godothorian, leader of the space crew, the captain known as Shadow, recognizes the challenge and purrs as she gets into her low paw fighting stance. Cece and Nono put away their weapons and observe the combat that's about to start. It was just a friendly sparring match. The sentry introduces himself as Agualash, one of the assassin sentries assigned to look over Shadow and her crew while they stay in the Frutada town. Papa Lasher said that you are indeed space or some type of star people, huh? I would like to see what powers lies beyond our planet, says the sentry as he gets into his low fighting grappling stance. Shadow decides to hold back her Godothorian abilities and go back to her basic form, her natural form, and decides to use only her bare knuckle fighting of the cat's paw. The sentry advances towards Shadow, centimeter by centimeter, inch by inch, and she doesn't even notice his small, subtle movements. Shadow is somewhat hypnotized. She doesn't realize he's advancing, not with his legs, but with his tippy toes. And then Shadow sees herself looking up at the ceiling
and quickly realizes she's on the ground.
What just happened?
Says Shadow, as the twinlings just giggle behind her.
That looks a little silly, if you ask me, but I guess it's effective. Huh, Century?
Says the twinlings. That's what you get for holding back, Space Cat, says Aguilasher.
You want to see what I can do? Alright, little human, I'll show you.
Shadow then decides to go slightly feral and pops her claws and fangs, as it allows her to increase her senses twofolds. The Centurion observes the mini metamorphosis. So what? Is this supposed to make you stronger, little space cat? Shadow then purrs. And as she is about to advance, dashing forward to the Centurion, there is a knock on the training hall's doors. And then it opens. It's little Remo, fully healed and happy to see her new space friends. Alright guys, that's it for today's episode. I am thinking in the end of the episode and the beginning of the episode, depending on how long this goes, I will start doing a recap of the previous episode and then like a slight spoiler, like, and next time on Dragon Ball Beyond, will the Frutata tribe destroy the blah blah blah? I don't know, I'm just messing around for now. But stay tuned, as you're gonna see more of Aguilasher, more of Shadow's abilities, and learn more about the Frutations of Frutata. Alright guys, take care of yourself, love yourself, like, comment, subscribe, and see you on the next episode of Dragon Ball Beyond. This is Whiskey J, signing out.